All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation. I'm Aaron Wimsett. This is Son Young Graves. This is the good, the bad, the ugly. We're week 5 already. It's gone by quick. I had a bunch of good games this week. Last week, kind of blah. This week, bunch of good games. Let's start with the Blue Chips and Guerrillas. So on last week's show, I don't know if it was Briggs. I don't know if it was A-Train, but they said the Guerrillas were going down. Might have been fluff, but it came true. The Blue Chips beat the Guerrillas 60-57.
Well, I would say last night was a great night last night in Ultimate Hoops for Bloomington, because it's not often that you have the Guerrillas and the Rebels losing the same night. Like, that's great. I mean, other teams prevail. And I do remember a prediction saying that the Blue Chips would lose by 20.
That's what Casey predicted.
Casey's wrong again. And, I mean, there was an interview that I did last week that happened to be right. I mean, believe in A-Train and Jay Briggs.
So what was the Guerrillas? My guess, what were they, 15-0, 14-0 before that point? Because last year they had a perfect season. So it's pretty big that they lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different flow. I mean, they needed a loss. It's probably a good thing that they took it this early, because running the table twice wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, so just kind of my observations from the game. Jermichael Ollie, I think he started off with, 12 of their first 20 points, I want to say. He had a efficient, good game, and we talked about him, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about being a good ad. And he just keeps, he keeps proving himself to be maybe he's not the difference maker, but he's making a difference on that team.
Yeah, it definitely helps. Like, it definitely takes some pressure off of Arsenio, because with him being the only ball handler, it made it tough when they're pressing up with Bryant. He never gets a break. Now with J. Mike in there, he gives him that spell. Even when they're both playing together, they have to choose who do we want handling the ball for the Guerrillas, and who are we going to press up on. So if you're going to live with J. Mike taking a jump shot or force him to create, he would rather drive and dish, or he's got his eyes up all the time, and he's too low and quick to get by everybody. Yeah,
and he plays he's not the tallest guy, but he plays like he's 6'5". He plays he plays big. So the difference in the game from what I saw, Blue Chips took 30 free throws. You want to guess how many the Guerrillas shot?
Since I was doing stats, I think it was around 8.
They took 7. So free throws, 30-7. Blue Chips took 16 3-pointers. Guerrillas took 27. I think they shot about the same. So the difference is the Blue Chips were driving, taking it to the hoop, and it was the difference.
Yeah, in the refs' defense, it was a lot of jump shots taken by the Guerrillas. You can't blame this on them. Oh, it's 30-7 is because the Blue Chips attacked. They went inside every possession. If they got a 3, it was off a kick or transition.
So good for the Blue Chips. Red Devils, we've been talking about them for a few weeks too. They beat the Shockers, and they beat them 61-44. They looked like themselves. It was a team game. I think they had probably 3 guys, with 10 or 12, but there's not one guy scoring 26. They look good. Are they back to being themselves, or was that just a fluke?
I would say Ben had a great game yesterday, creating the offense, setting the table for Jordan Van Ort, who's getting his legs back under him. Adam Tim had a solid game, coming in, getting second chance points and rebounds, and it was pretty efficient throughout the first half. I think he only missed his first shot and went off for 5 straight after that. But last night, I can't give the Red Devils all the credit. I would say the Shockers were just bad. Like, there was no rhythm. There was no flow. It was probably the worst I saw Zhao and Jake. So for both of them to have an off night where they couldn't rely on one to create for the other, it was just tough. And it was like it looked like they had never played against the zone.
Yeah, and the zone, which is what we're used to seeing with the Red Devils, and they also shot 64% from the field, which is pretty impressive. And kind of their, when they were going to the playoffs, they were consistently shooting over 50%. Their story was they play good defense and they take smart shots and get good shots. They're not a team to usually put up a bunch of bad shots. 64%, pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're not the same team that takes the best shots, but now they're more in rhythm. So it's just they're getting to know their personnel with the new roster additions and changes, so it helps out.
Can they continue that for the rest of the season, or will they?
I have to look at their schedule. I can't give them the nod, but I will say they could edge out a playoff spot, being that playing game.
On to the Muskies and the Rebels. Muskies beat them 70-53. Nothing really stands out. When you look at the stats, the Rebels, I think the only person they were missing was Tyler Brown. What I saw, the Muskies they had more energy. I don't know.
Well, first from talking to Junius, because I was on the other court, the Rebels came out in a 2-1-2 zone, which is that's a zone that I taught my 8th grade girls varsity because I knew all the shots were inside. But you got John Christensen, you've got Casey who wants to be on the outside. Junius may be the only one that's not going to live out on the 3. And then you have Zach. You still have Bennett. You have Rablin, who would rather shoot and likes to shoot. And you clog the middle. That's, with them having Epple, Matska, Jensen, I would think 3-2, force them off the 3-point line, funnel them into Paul.
Do a press at half.
Funnel them into Paul and make them create something that way. But to give them elbow threes when that's what 90% of their roster wants to do, that's a bad decision, and which on defense you don't expect from the Rebels.
I think, what are the Muskies? They're 4-1, correct?
Sounds right.
Okay. So I think they have pretty much the same team they've had in the past seasons, but they add Zach McCray and Bennett Lang.
Bennett was there before. He just left last season for Rid Show 2.0.
But anyways, do those two additions or those two players, do they make a difference for them, or can they take them to the next step?
It definitely makes a difference when you have Bennett, who's always pass first and selective, and you have Trevor as your facilitators, and you have Rablin being your big instead of Casey. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference to where defenses are going to shift like the Rebels did to protect from Rablin, and then you open everything for everyone else on the team.
Yeah, McCray, he's pretty much the same way. He could score. I think he could score 15, 20 a night if he wanted to, but he seems to be a team first kind of guy.
Yeah, and that's what they got to do. Is just grind it out, play as a team, get those hard fought wins.
Tonight, Blazers play the Avengers. Blazers beat the Avengers. Close game throughout. I think the Blazers won by 1. The Avengers went up by 2 on Andre Perry free throws, I think. Yep. Then Blazers come down. You think they're going to take a 2 or go for a 2. Aaron Lukitsch, who they added this past season, hit a huge 3. and I think it was with 3 seconds left, somewhere in there.
It was about two. I think it was about 2.6. Knocked it down. Clock stopped. That 3 came early, I believe, and then they got the possession where they put Andre Perry in the post against James Pinkett, and given it's 10 seconds left. You watch in every level of the game, college, high school, NBA, 10 seconds left in the game, unless it's a flagrant foul, don't even expect a whistle. I mean, if you get one, great, but you cannot make a play hoping that I'm going to get a foul and go to the line to win the game. That's not what a ref wants to do. If it's not a blatant foul, if it's anywhere, if it's 50-50, it's not getting called.
Well, I thought it wasn't even, close. I don't think it was a foul at all. I thought he played good defense, especially against 6'5", 6. He's big.
Yeah, he had about a good 8 inches on James, and James stayed as straight up as possible. He banged with him until he turned around, and then when he turned, he faced up. You got to make the shot. You can't call for a foul after you miss. You missed a layup, point blank.
So now on to your Celtics. You guys needed a win tonight. You guys played Fab 5, who's been on a roll. They've been looking good. Game goes into overtime. I think you guys got down. You guys were up early. You got down by 6 to 8, and then got it close at the end. Izzy missed a shot at the end of regulation to go into overtime.
Izzy, I'll put it this way: it was Izzy's game to lose, because his first shot was bad, and it may have been after the buzzer, even that. But the second shot, that was literally his game. I pressed up full court just to make sure he couldn't roll the ball in with, I believe it's 4 seconds left, and he takes it, and as soon as he gathers, he takes off, and Mike set a screen at half court. So Izzy had a 17-footer per game, wide open. So I'll take that gift. I appreciate that. You obviously want to see the Celtics in the playoffs. So.
But before that happened, Johnny Webb had two big layups. First one, I think you guys were down by 3. He makes a layup. You guys foul. I think whoever was shooting went 1 for 2, so you guys are down by 2. Webb comes down again, gets fouled, made the basket, makes the free throw, and you guys were up by 1. That sealed the game for you, especially with Izzy missing the shot. You guys, I think you guys called the timeout. Was your plan to go to Johnny?
We were looking to set screens, but at the same time nervous with that end of regulation call with the moving screen, but just trying to – everyone can score. We're going to try to go down low, but we wanted the ball in Webb's hands to get it down low, because he knows if it's not there, he can go right past. And that's what happened. He took the option going to the basket and got the and one.
So let's talk about the end of regulation. Matt Hamill, offensive foul on a screen. We'll play it for you, but Izzy gets a lot of flack for flopping, and I agree. Some of the times he's flopping. I don't think this was a flop. I think it was the right call.
My only problem with that call is it wasn't made all game, and it's happening on both sides all game. So you let it go for 43 minutes, and you call it in the last 11 seconds. And given it may have been a nudge, it wasn't as much of a nudge as Izzy made it seem, because Izzy was flying all over the place with me trying to fight through screens every time down the court. So, I mean, could be a right call, but it's one of those where you call it early in the game, So then at the end, we know not to do it. Not first moving screen of the game is 11 seconds to go when the game's on the line.
So on to the bad. What's up with the Muskies? I think they're 3-2.
Muskies?
Sorry, Rebels. I'm thinking about the Muskies. Rebels are 3-2. They just don't look like themselves. I don't think they've ever lost to the Muskies.
It's summer. Everybody's taking weeks off. I'm pretty sure. Motska's finally got a break from school. Joe is trying to get back in the gym. Jensen, I think this is the first time that they've been able to ring Jensen in for 2 weeks in a row. It's tough. They haven't been able to get a rhythm. It's just summer season. Their goal is they're 3-2. They get one more game. They're in the playoffs. That's how we as the Celtics look at it. Like all the regular season for deep teams is practice. It doesn't matter if you're the number one seed. Sometimes that's not the easiest route to the championship. So as long as you're in the playoffs, you got a chance.
And they added Kloby yesterday, so that'll help.
And I know for a fact Kloby said he was not playing this season, so they had to go out on the lake and find him from fishing to reel him in to play last night.
So with this next one, we won't mention any names, but there was a player tonight who shot 4 for 24 from the field, 0 for 10 from deep, and had, I think it's the highest I've ever seen, but it had, or the lowest, but had a negative 11.2 PPR. I know you're a shooter, so you keep shooting, but if I go, if I'm 0 for 7 or something, I'm not shooting anything but a layup. At what point do you stop shooting?
I have to be honest. I've had these nights, and there's a point where you may start off. It depends on where those 4 come in. You may start out 3 for 7, and you're like, okay, it's gonna be a good day, and then you just miss after miss after miss, and to a point like the game we played, Brick City, like I couldn't buy a shot. Like it took for me to take a bank shot before I could get anything to drop. It's just one of those where you keep shooting to where the fact it's funny. It's like you can't, nothing's going in. It's wide open. Why I can't believe I'm missing these shots that if somebody's in my face or different situation, I make those shots. It's keep shooting, especially what was the final score for that game?
I don't know. A lot to a little.
Yeah. That's so it doesn't really matter if I'm if he's 4 for 24 and we lose by 2, you gotta stop shooting.
So on to the ugly. Last night, I think you were involved in this. I think you were, but anyways, Kevin Chase and Antoine collide, full speed going after ball, heads collide. Probably the biggest collision I've seen, and you were in the middle of it, right?
Yeah. So from me, I see the shot go up. Chase comes down, bobbles, dives for it, and the ball comes loose. So I'm at the top. The ball's coming directly to me, so I'm trying to dive towards him. And as that play is happening, I'm getting ready to lunge, and like out of the corner of my eye, I see Twan, like full speed coming, and like I tried to hold up, but like I don't know what happened. Like I know Twan slid and hit my ankle, and then went straight through and hit Chase, hit forehead to the side of the noggin. Chase was down. He said he was out for a little bit and he didn't realize, but it's good to see he was back tonight.
Yeah, it was a good gash. I think the best I've ever seen him. Who was it from the Squires? Somebody from the Squires got their eyebrow split open a few seasons ago, but this was it's a nice tee. And I think he's got a big egg too. I think he said 7 stitches, but it looks good now. Any final thoughts?
Okay. Also for the ugly, Brandon. JaVale McGee, I'm telling you, you're trying to compete with Ferber here, but okay, you can't brag to someone saying I had 30 points. And I mean, you bragging to someone, they let you know, like, hey, okay, that's cool. Did you guys win? No. Okay. Was it a close game? No. And then I would have left it at that. And then you put out that the other guy that you're probably guarding had 50. That's ugly. That 30 means nothing. That means you played no defense. You may be cherry-picked for that 30. And
blue line to blue line?
Yeah, well, blue line to blue line. And I know he's not getting fast breaks. I saw him tonight. He's not turning on the jets to get anything. But I wouldn't even bring up that 30. I would erase that. Like, because I wouldn't want somebody to be like, oh, you had 30? Go check the stats. And then look below and see somebody had 50. Like, I wouldn't even bring it up. I don't see the reason in that. That's when you know that you got somebody playing for stats. Brandon, it's time to change. It's been started 2008. It's been 7 years. It's time to try to win. No more stat playing. That goes for them, too. When you guys come back next season, no more stats. Play as a team. Get in the playoffs. Winning the Gold Cup.
Good stuff.
Oh, I almost forgot. Shout out to Rue. 17-7 tonight for the Bulls.
Yeah.
Or for the free ballers against the Bulls.
I was going to say you confused me there.
Even though it doesn't count, Ra wasn't here.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.